What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of New Jersey. This is season 13, episode, I want to say 17, probably 18, but it's part 2 of the reunion. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So if you listen to my other reviews, y'all already know how I feel. And we just trying to make it to the end. So the episode opens up where it left off, where Teresa just gave this revelation of saying that Melissa and Joe were the reason why she got locked up. You got Margaret and Melissa, everybody honestly on the stage like, girl, what? The only person that doesn't seem perplexed by what Teresa said is really Jennifer. And so Jennifer is saying, well, she says she got proof, so maybe there's validity to what she's saying. And so Melissa's like, well, girl, you said Caroline Manzo was the one that set you up, And she's like, you know what? Teresa's like, I take that back. It was you and Joe. So Teresa clears it up by saying that Jacqueline told her, Jacqueline, Caroline Manzo's sister-in-law or sister, told her that Melissa and Joe were hanging out with one of Joe Giudice's, I guess, co-conspirators, or a person that was also doing mortgage fraud, and that Joe was really working with trying to get Joe Giudice in trouble, but subsequently he got both of them in trouble. And so Melissa and Margaret are like, Teresa, what? Mainly Melissa is like, girl, you are out your mind. You're delusional. So Teresa's like, yeah, whatever. I heard it from Jacqueline. So then Melissa's like, Jacqueline, the one that texted me and texted Jackie and was talking trash about you before she got on the show. Really? And so they read the text message that Jacqueline sent Melissa about Teresa. And this is what it says. I know I shouldn't care, but her arrogance, voice, and the fact that she gets away with too much after being a nasty asshole bothers me. She is a low-life trash bucket. She's stupid, but also very calculating. Even with her 2 facelifts, eye lift, nose job, shaved forehead, Botox filler, nose, new boobs, she is still ugly and thinks she's a goddess. LOL, no. I'm not bitter at all. LOL. Every time I see something on her, it irritates me all over again. Obviously, LOL, she's infamous for being a dumb, classless train wreck. She doesn't get it. And this was sent March 28, 2021. And we know that we saw Jacqueline and Teresa link up this year. Was it like in 2023? So it's like a lot can change, but for Jacqueline to have this opinion of Teresa, I would be watching out for Jacqueline. So Melissa's like, you gonna believe her after she said this? She said you were a trash bucket. And then Teresa's rebuttal was like, well, she said you was a whore and you was friends with her. So I was like, well, points were made on both sides for me. So the reunion continues, and we get to the Rachel segment where they're talking about her adoption and how she wanted to adopt Jaden, and how it was a really beautiful story for some people to watch, especially when Jaden was very vocal about being okay with her adopting him and actually wanting Rachel to be, his his adoptive parent. And they then talk about how Jaden's mom, and y'all know I've read the stories from The Sun in one of my spicy corners, spoke out against the whole adoption, saying that pretty much they're blocking her from having a relationship with her son. Rachel pretty much says Jaden has had direct contact with her and doesn't really want anything to do with her, which is his right. Rachel then goes on to say that the reason she started speaking up was because Louis reached out to her. Teresa looked confused as hell, like confused. Like she was just like, what? What are you talking about? Which I genuinely think she was caught off guard by what Rachel said. They then bring up Louis screaming out Bo Dietl, saying that Bo Dietl has stuff on everybody. And we know Bo Dietl is supposed to be this private investigator. So everyone's like, he's the one that's been out here saying that he's collecting dirt on all of them. That's when Teresa is like, well, y'all are mad at Louis, but why aren't y'all mad at Margaret? Because Margaret does the same thing. And Margaret's like, no, I don't. Then Melissa's like, well, Margaret doesn't go digging. Things just fall in her lap. And then Teresa starts mimicking Melissa. It got very, both of them, Melissa and Teresa, started to act like children. Like, it felt very much like a playground fight. It was annoying after a while. And when everyone was mad at Andy yelling at them, once I saw the clip, I understood his frustration because they both were talking over him. He was trying to continue the conversation and get things out, and they were both disrespecting him. I would tell both of them to shut the hell up real quick. So they're going back and forth. But I will give Melissa a point for saying, like, you're with a man who pretty much is digging up dirt on everybody to use against us. He's such like he's such a catch. Then the whole namaste, you're an asshole. Now Melissa is selling that merch. The line wasn't iconic, girl, and it didn't hit. It was kind of funny, but the merch that I saw was actually really ugly. So they were going back and forth, and then we get on to the whole rumor situation. So the rumor situation, pretty much what we find out is Melissa already knew. Like, everyone already knew about the rumor. And here's my thing, and this is when we had Andy yelling at the girls when they were going back and forth. The truth of the matter is, everyone kind of knew about the rumor. And so people are like, well, Danielle, do you feel set up by Jennifer? And girl, you was set up. You might not want to, like, she didn't admit it on stage, but when Danielle got off the stage and went to her dressing room, she actually said, they set me up. So you were the fall guy, girl. You took the fall. But really, she didn't have to take the fall. Even though they saying Danielle got set up, she could have kept that rumor to herself. She didn't have to go and tell Melissa. Like Jennifer Fessler said, what was the point of telling her at the finale? Like, what was the point of that? Like, what did you want to happen? Which is a good question. So by this time, when we get to this conversation, Jackie and Jennifer Fessler are sitting on the couches. Jennifer Fessler is sitting next to Danielle, and Jackie is sitting next to Rachel. I will say, Jen Fessler looked good. I don't know if she got a new skincare routine or she got some work done, but she looking very youthful. So at this point, we see the men looking like from the back, looking at the cameras as they're arguing back and forth. And, you know, they're watching all this happen. But I do think what Jennifer Fessler said was like, I'm with her. Like, girl, what was the point of you telling her this information? Like, there really was no point, because we find out that Melissa knew about it the whole time. They then bring up the whole thing about Louis and Teresa calling Joe over to have the conversation. Now, I'll give a point to Melissa with being like, you had this conversation with my husband. You were trying to break up our marriage. Like, you should have invited me there. Yes. But I don't understand you being mad at Teresa for telling her brother the rumor. Like, if I find out that my sister's man is cheating, I'm beating his ass and I'm telling my sister. Like, I owe you no loyalty. Like, you're not my family. And even if she was married to the dude, he's not my family. When it comes to, at that point, if you out here cheating on her like that, you are nothing to me. So if I really felt like those rumors were true, that you were really cheating on my brother, I don't care about your well-being. I don't care. I care about my family. So they're going back and forth. And that's when Andy gets to yelling, where he's just like, bro, can y'all just shut up and let me talk? Because at this point, they're acting like children. You know, Melissa's like yelling at Teresa. Teresa's yelling at Melissa. And at this point, it's like, I don't care no more. I was at the point where I didn't care anymore. So the conversation moves on to the whole love doctor situation with Olivia, and how Jennifer is like, you know, before this whole rumor thing, Olivia wanted to do Broadway. She wanted to be a singer. She wanted to be a dancer. Now she wants to be a therapist, all because of this. And she found out on TikTok. And they talk about how, like, well, why did you accept the apology? And truth be told, Jennifer should have never accepted the apology. And like I've said before in my reviews, I thought what Margaret did was wrong. Like, it wasn't something that was on the show, so why bring it to the show? So that's why I kind of look at them like being mad at Jennifer for bringing the rumor on the show. It's like, well, sis, y'all were like, well, the rumor's out there when it came to Jennifer and Bill's situation. The rumor is out there about Melissa and Joe. So to me, it's the same thing. I don't think neither one of them were right. I don't think Margaret was right to bring it on the show if it wasn't a storyline on the show, as well as Jennifer wasn't right to bring it to the show if she had already had this conversation or knew about this conversation before it came to the show. So messy all around. And it's funny because Like I keep telling y'all, Margaret and Jennifer are two sides of the same coin. And what got me is when Margaret was like, when they were talking about the whole Danielle being set up, and Jennifer was like, that's not what it was. And Margaret was like, you're a smart girl, Jennifer. You're a smart girl. You know what you were doing. And she was like, no. And I'm like, that's because y'all see each other. I wish they were friends. I don't care what nobody says. If Margaret and Jennifer were friends, they would legitimately have like New Jersey on lock. They would be able to terrorize these women and it would be chef's kiss. Shenanigans galore, and I would love it. I would love it. Two sides of the same coin. So they started talking about that situation and how pretty much they're just like, girl, like you were wrong. And even I'm glad that Jennifer apologized to Melissa, and I'm glad that she said, you know what, Melissa, I was wrong. Like she was like, you know what, I'm sorry. You probably not. It's gonna take you a minute to forgive it, and you don't have to forgive me. And like, but I was wrong. And I'm happy she said that because girl, you were wrong. So things are dwindling down, and we're getting to the end of the episode. Like I said, we see the guys in the back watching, and things are taking a turn. So, like I said, things have taken a turn. And like we all know, they put New Jersey on pause. But baby, I don't know. Teresa being with Louis has definitely shifted the energy because we see the guys are pretty much, in separate dressing rooms. And that's something that they're all talking about, that they were like, that never has happened really. And the only thing that has really changed for real, or the energy shift has been Louis. So you have Bill, Louis, and what's her name? Danielle's husband and Paulie in another room, and then the other men are in a different room, and they're just talking about it. So before the guys come up on stage, we have this situation between Margaret and Teresa, where pretty much Margaret pulls out receipts saying that someone called her son and threatened him, and they said it was Louis, basically on a block number, saying that you better like watch out for me. And I guess it shook them to the core because they ended up getting the police involved. Teresa looked shocked again, like she didn't know about this, but then they say that she did know about it. So then Margaret is telling Dolores, like, girl, tell her like what I told you, because clearly Teresa's acting like she don't know what's going on. And Teresa was kind of taken aback because she was like, what do you mean Dolores knows? So Dolores pretty much confirms Margaret's story, that Margaret did call me because she was in such a worked up state and worried about her kid. And even Dolores was like, I don't even want to be involved in this. Like, this is something I don't want to be involved in. And the sad thing about it is, I believe that Louis would do something like that. I told y'all, Louis gives me slimy tease. And it's sad because I do not want Teresa, even though I don't really see it for Teresa. I don't really see it for a lot of people on this cast. But I don't want her to get screwed over. And I feel like Louis is going to screw her over. Pretty much, it seems like he studied Teresa based off of Real Housewives of New Jersey and found his way into her life because he knew she was looking for love, looking for a partner, and here we are. And it just seems like he's slimy, and he might be worse than Joe Giudice because it seems like there's something more sinister about him. And so Teresa and Margaret are going back and forth. It was bad. Like Jennifer saying Margaret had old lady energy with, was stupid. Then you got Teresa calling her an old hag. Then you got Margaret calling Teresa a criminal, and Teresa calling her trash and the devil. And and you could tell that people were uncomfortable. Like, and that's the sad thing. And that's the thing that I don't think, like, that's what it is. It's like the energy has shifted so much that like, it's no longer like them arguing tit for tat. It's more so like, you can tell that everyone is uncomfortable now. Like, everyone is uneasy. Like, the drama is getting to the point where it's just like, it's unbearable. Like, Dolores was squirming in her seat. Even Jennifer was looking kind of, you got Jen Fessler, like, ooh, bitch. Like, everyone looked visibly uncomfortable. So putting them on pause, in my opinion, was the right thing to do. You got Teresa being like, well, ask Louis when he comes out here. Ask Louis when he comes out here, because they also mentioned that they all been getting called from block numbers, but it seems like these block numbers have been happening since Louis hit the scene. So now it is looking like you guys are the ones doing it. Even when Teresa was sitting there on stage, she got two numbers from an old two calls from an old number of Margaret, where Margaret was like, I don't even have that number. And Teresa was like, see, people can spoof people's numbers, which they can. But I was like, girl, that kind of confirms that might be your man. That might be your man. So Margaret was like, you know what? I don't want to talk to Louis. I don't want to see Louis. And Andy's like, well, the husbands are about to come out. So we end up seeing, the men get on stage, or they're working their way onto stage. Everyone is trying to gear up for like what's about to happen. Andy goes to the back to speak to Louis and be like, bro, I don't want this to get physical, because it's feeling like we're hitting physicality territory where y'all about to fight, and I make too much money to be holding you brutes back. And Louis like, we're not about to fight. I said, you sure about that? Because it's a couple of people on that stage that want to go upside your head, sir. But that's where the episode ended, y'all. Sorry if it was all over the place, but like I told y'all, I'm really kind of like over this show, so I haven't really been taking notes. I've just been watching. But yeah, remember to be bravely authentic. Hop down in them comments below. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.